So I think we can start. Let me just organize something here. 1 second. Just 1 second. So I would like to start. It's 3 minutes past 8, and I would like to give a warm good morning to all my fellows from Brazil and participants from Latin America and North America, and a good afternoon to everyone that is joining us today from Europe and from Africa, and also a good evening for everyone that is joining us today from the Middle East, from Asia, and from Oceania. So I am Luciana Pellegrino. I'm the Vice President for Marketing for WPO and also the Executive Director of the Brazilian Packaging Association. And on behalf of WPO and our President, Pierre Pinard, and all board members of WPO, I would like to welcome each one and all of you for joining us today for the second edition of WPO's webinar series. I would like to start very quickly with a quick overview from WPO. So WPO is the organization that gathers and represents the packaging industry globally to foster the growth and development of this industry for better quality of life through better packaging for more people. This is our mission. WPO gathers as members packaging associations and institutes from over 58 countries, and it promotes different activities to support this industry, such as education programs, the World Star Awards, packaging expertise projects, and of course, WPO fosters a global network to promote the exchange of technology, science, sustainability, reduction of food losses and food waste, and much more. And we would like to invite each one of you to follow WPO at all social media and also to visit our website and download the documents we have about packaging. Our topic today is about packaging as a marketing tool, and of course, how packaging will support brands to build a stronger bond with consumers, to be more competitive and assertive within this highly competitive market, and also to cope with new retail formats and being able at the same time to enchant every consumer. And to explore this topic today, we have 4 very special guests, which I would like to welcome. And at the same time, I will introduce them. I would like to invite you to know a little bit more about them via this QR code we are sharing. So I would like to give a warm welcome to Soha Talla, WPO's Vice President and also an international industry expert. Good morning, Soha.
Good morning, my dear. Good morning, everyone from Beirut.
Also, I'd like to welcome Anne Havelet, that is the Head of Insights and Innovation from Damon International. Good morning, Anne.
Good morning, everybody from Lisbon, Portugal.
Welcome. Also, I would like to give a warm welcome to David Kuzuma. David is PhD and President-elect of the World Design Organization, that is a partner organization from WPO. And also David is the Vice President and Global R&D for Tupperware Brands Corporation. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Luciana, and good morning, everyone from Orlando, Florida.
And last but not least, a very special welcome to Satish Pereira. Satish is Senior Manager Packaging Materials and Discovery from PepsiCo Service from Asia, Bangkok in Thailand. Satish, how are you doing? Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Good day to you from Thailand.
Thank you. Welcome. So before we start, I would like to inform that our event is being recorded. We expect to have it available later on at YouTube, at WPO's YouTube account. At the same time, I would like to invite all participants to send their questions anytime via chat. We'll be happy to answer them and discuss about them. And then to start, I would like to invite each panelist to share with us an overview about their perspective on packaging as a marketing tool. And from there, we can explore this topic with all of you with some questions. So I would like to invite Soha Tala to start, and I give Soha the floor, and I will help her sharing her PowerPoint presentation with all of you.
Yes.
So Soha, please go. You can introduce yourself while
Yes. Good morning, or good evening, or good afternoon, since we are an international audience. So I will be asking you, my dear, to share my presentation because I could not share it. So
yes, 1 second.
I will wait.
Almost.
So in my presentation, I will focus on the marketing aspect of packaging. As you know, packaging has a lot of aspects. Yes, so let's go to the other slide. Thank you, my dear. I don't know why I could not share it. Maybe I can do it myself. No, I can't. Okay.
It's ready, Soha. Okay.
Yes, so you can move to the next slide, please, my dear. Yes, so today, as we all know, packaging is a big topic. We have a lot of importance on the functional aspect of packaging, the sustainable and the food safety, but today we're gonna focus on the marketing aspect of packaging. So packaging should not only protect the product, it should sell the product. And we don't have a lot of time, especially now we are not even going to the supermarket, it's on digital and we're gonna see it later. So packaging should be the brand ambassador for your product, and it should catch the browser attention. Luciana, can go to the... So as I said, it will be your brand ambassador because as we can say, your packaging and the label design and everything is a kind of your passport to inform the consumer about the information and about why he should take your product and not the other product. Luciana, can we? Yes. So in order to design a good packaging design for your product, first of all, it should be eye-catching. The package should be a kind of communication tool between your product and the consumer, and it should also set your product different. Differentiation is very important on the shelf among the other competitor, and for sure it should also provide a kind of brand recognition. That's why we don't advise drastic change in the packaging design and the color and the ergonomic change. We can change it, but very mildly from one time to another. Yes, Luciana? The essence of marketing is to understand customer needs. And here comes packaging. Packaging should also reflect consumer needs, that they are changing. And now I'm happy to see that other panelists will talk about the COVID. I will slightly mention it. So first of all, we really need to do market research, ongoing market research, to be able to understand these market needs. And then we need to segment our consumer. We cannot respond to all our customers. So that's why we need to segment them and understand their needs, one group to the other, and then to design the package using the package element to create this shelf appeal impact on the shelves. Luciana? What are the packaging design elements? First of all, we have the structural packaging design, the ergonomic shapes of the package, how we hold it, how we grab it, how we store it. We have the color. Based on these segment and the consumer needs, we choose the colors, the typography, the packaging material is very, very important. And then we go to the picture, the illustration, how we're gonna write the information, each one based on our segment and on the needs of our customer in each segment. So that's why brand owners or companies need to be up to date and need to be innovative. If you need to be in the business, you need to be on this. We need to make a lot of adjustment from time to time because it's a very rapid society that we are living in order to respond to our consumer needs. Because if you are not very quick, other competitor can take the opportunity and then we can have a shift in brand loyalty. Luciano? What are really some of the consumer needs with regarding to packaging? The first consumer need is convenient. The packaging need to be convenient to the consumer. How to open it, how to close it, how to store it, how to handle it. So convenience is very important when it comes to packaging design. Then we need to, the customer needs to be satisfied. He needs to have a positive experience and less frustration. When I talk about frustration is, many packaging, they come into many boxes. So we really need to have less frustration free for the consumer. And most of all, it needs to be easy to handle. So here is an example. One of the most frustration for consumer is how to open a package, especially when we are talking about senior consumers. So that's why we need to innovate in our packaging to create, for example, a tier lid or a kind of, to indicate on the package where they can tier it, or a peel corner, or any kind of, I'm showing you example how to respond in our innovation to the consumer needs, which is here now ease of opening. Another example is to improve the functionality. For example, here I use it personally because I have a headache. So instead of holding the big box for the Advil, they create small pouches or small packages to put it in your bag. So here is a kind of innovation for a better handling and how to respond to consumer needs on the go, we call it. So as I said, we cannot respond to all consumer needs, even the mass product, even Coca-Cola, even McDonald's, all the brand. Nowadays, we cannot respond to all consumer needs. That's why we need to segment them. And how to segment them? Based on the variables, the age, the education, the income, and other. Luciana, at the next slide. So we really need to segment them and then to assess every needs. Here is the gender is very important, the education. Each segment of the society has different needs based on age, all these variables, and we need to respond to them. So here we can go quickly, Luciana. So here is an example how brand owner respond to the needs for every segment. Here we can see Clarence when they introduced a new cosmetic for men, they change the ergonomic shape, they change the color. Here is an example for Evian. If we go to the Evian, which is water, the same water, if we can go to, the same water is being packed in 4 different ways to respond to the needs of the client. We can see the ergonomic shape and the Disney of Mickey Mouse for the kids, the ergonomic shape for the small sports, how to grab it for the athletics when they are running, the regular one, and then the premium one using glass. So here's an example how a brand owner can use different packaging design elements to attract different segments. I'm gonna talk quickly on the global packaging design trend that they have been the same for 2-3 years. The #1 global packaging trend is the on the go. We are all very busy, we don't have time to sit and have our breakfast or even to have our lunch. That's why most of the companies are going to the snacking and to the on the go. The second most important also trend is sustainability. And here we can see that consumers are ready to pay more for sustainable packaging when they see that companies are really investing in sustainability. Convenience is also very important, how to grab it and everything. E-commerce, everything is now being online. The packaging design should stand out as well online. Your packaging should be digital, it should be connected, and the healthy lifestyle. But most of all of these components, your packaging should be also beautiful and it should be really nice. Now to talk about COVID, what are the major packaging trends affected by COVID? Luciano? So if you want to talk about COVID, also we can see that one of the main packaging trend affected by COVID-19 is also sustainability. Consumers want to see more sustainable packaging design, and for sure they need to have the hygiene aspect in mind, because many consumers are worried about to catch the virus from the packaging of food. And here I leave it to other panelists to talk about it. And also the other trend that is being also very trendy now and affected also by COVID is the e-commerce. Now most of us prefer to buy things online, to also after the lockdown, and to reduce the contamination by going to the supermarket and buy it. So your packaging also should be fit to be packed and to be delivered to your consumers online. So if you want, Luciana, we can, here is a slide by McKinsey where they are putting what are the trends after COVID, and as I said, what are the sustainability and the health issue. And this is another slide where the packaging also should fit the delivery issue with the e-commerce, also prepared by McKinsey. It should be tamper-proof, it should be ready to be shipped, it should be optimized, and it should be traceable as well. So I'd rather to stop. I have more other examples, but to give the floor to other panelists. Thank you.
Great, Soha. Thank you very much. I mean, great background for our discussion today. Very clear point of how we use packaging as a marketing tool. So now we would like to move to Anne from Damon International, and she's going to share with us what is changing in consumer behaviors and how it influences packaging as a marketing tool. So Anne, please welcome. Oh, your mic, please turn on your mic, yes.
Sorry. Hello, everybody. I'm going to try to share my screen. Let's hope for the best. Okay. Okay, can everybody see it now?
Yes, we see it. Perfect.
Okay, perfect. So, for the coming 15 minutes or maybe 2 or 3 more, I will try to be short. I'm going to talk about the consumer trends and the implications on packaging. So my name is Anne Ravalet. I'm working on leading the insights and innovation area for Damon International. I'm not sure everybody is familiar with Damon, but what we do is we are retail partners across different areas of business, and one of our core focus is private brands. So one of our main activities is product development across categories and across countries. I'm really thrilled to take some time today to share with you our perspective on consumer trends and their implication on product and on packaging. I will guide you through the mega trends that we've identified and that are part of our thought process when developing products, and we'll try to make a bridge between this and packaging as much as possible. I would like to start the conversation with this product, which is the toilet paper, one of, the best-selling products this year. What a surprise. This is more than toilet paper. This is really about the packaging. As we can see, on top of allowing the transportability of the product, the packaging is really essential, as I was saying, about it's essential to convey the brand identity and the messages. Without the packaging, we wouldn't know that this product is made out of 100% recycled toilet paper and that this product is also recyclable. But what's really interesting in this packaging is that it's not only serving as a packaging, but it can also become a 100% recyclable waste bag. The handle to carry the pack becomes a lace for the waste disposal. This is quite interesting because this shows that, as we can all imagine, that when developing the product, the focus was, of course, on the paper and having 100% recycled paper, but it was also on the packaging because this is really the key differentiation point of this product. More than the recycled paper, it's really the messaging and the new life of the product becoming waste disposable. I know some people are going to talk about COVID. As you can imagine, because we're operating in so many countries, we had to understand what should be the guiding principles when we are developing products from now. There's no easy fix, and we know that consumers are having to adapt to a new home-centric reality. And so it's really critical for retailers, but also for product developers to make sure that they have the right solutions in place that are affordable, inspiring, healthy, sustainable, and safe to meet the consumer needs. So these 5 principles are really what's driving now our NPD process. Affordable, because we know that consumers are planning to focus on cost savings because of the financial uncertainty. But what we should keep in mind is that this shouldn't be at the cost of quality. And as you can imagine, as private brand experts, our focus is really on delivering high quality products at an affordable price. It has to be inspiring because consumers are consumers are going to look for experiences at home. The outside is coming inside, and so the experience has to be a full experience, and it starts, for instance, with the opening of the product. It has to be healthy because the issues that were prior to COVID, such as obesity, are still there. And so it's critical for retailers and for brand developers to have products that provide an healthier lifestyle. It's also quite critical because with the pandemic, we saw that there is a new definition to health, which is to make people feel stronger, to have a better immune system. And so this is what is going to make products different on the shelf and more successful. The sustainability, although it was kind of paused during COVID, this is still a hot topic. And that's something that brands and all industry players should bear in mind. And safety, this is where packaging is really becoming even more important because we are, as individuals, we are trying to minimize as much as possible contacts to avoid, to reduce the spread of the virus and avoid catching it. And so this is where packaging is playing a critical role. This it actually raises a question on one of the trends that we had previously, which was the trend of packaging free. But actually, it doesn't mean that this trend is no longer relevant by far, and we still see many new examples, like for instance, Interspar in Austria, I think a few weeks ago. It just means that it has to be rethought and that brands should bear in mind the need for safety when developing these kind of products. And so we see that maybe digitalization, though in store, might be a solution. This is what we see with Nivea in Germany, or for instance, this Heinen salad bar here that is fully digitalized to avoid unnecessary contacts. We can also think here of Loop as a rethinking of the disposability of packaging. So this was to give a kind of overall context. Let's now talk about the future of consumer, or the future consumer, and let me introduce you to the 7 trends that we have at Damon. So the foundation of our work really begins with the understanding of the future consumer that we visualize here with our global trend wheel. This is a Damon proprietary tool that identifies, defines, and tracks the evolution of global consumer behaviors. We have identified 7 megatrends that are broad movements that last for a long period of time. What's changing is the execution of it. If we think on what Be Wells or wellness means today in 2020, it's really different. It's really different from what wellness meant 5 to 6 years ago. But the wellness movement was there at that time. I won't have the time to go in details of the 7 trends. I would love to, and we can discuss later. But just to introduce you the 7 mega trends quickly, and I will go more in details in 3 of them. The changing demographics is what's really transforming the retail. So we are talking here about the aging population, but we're also talking about the next generation, or the urbanization as some keywords connected to that trend. When we talk about Be Well, this is really about the modern way of life, driving demand for total wellness solutions. Key ideas here are, for instance, quantified health, the holistic definition of wellness that goes beyond the basics of a diet and exercise, and also, of course, the plant-centric that we see popping up and growing everywhere. Not only in products, but also in packaging, actually. The always on is really about the fact that we never stop. And so here we can talk about connected packaging, simplicity, on demand, and on demand is really interesting because we are no longer talking about what we can get, but when we can get and where we can get it. So that's a redefinition of on demand. And this is where also we talk about the possibility to disconnect, which is something that we saw popping up recently. One word is really about the fact that, I mean, it's about the growing awareness that what we do as individuals affects the whole planet. So we live in one planet that's really, and I will go more in detail on that one. Universe, this is where we can talk about self-expression, hyper-personalization, consumer voice, or even entrepreneurship from consumers, but not only. Enjoyment is all about the experience. We can talk here about treasure hunting, nostalgia, multisensory experiences. And the last one is value matters. And when we talk about value, it's really about the multiple dimensions of value for shoppers that go by far beyond price. It's, for instance, about the quality, the transparency, or even the alignment with personal beliefs. So quickly, let's go more detail on the shifting demographics and the latest initiatives around the topic. So when we talk with our partners on shifting demographics, we talk about the shades of gray, and definitely the fact of having a packaging that is suitable for elderly, as I was saying, is critical. We can talk also about the next generation and the role they play in the household. And if we think on packaging, this makes me think of one product, which is called Pompots. I don't know where we can find it. I know we find it in France and in Portugal. And this is a fruit puree, but the packaging has been made so that kids can open it on their own. And this is really about the role of the kid in the family that is no longer, that has a voice and that wants to do things on his own. And this is something that Pompots integrated in their fruit puree pouch development process. We can talk also about food rituals from the word, or we can also talk about inclusion. So these are some examples I've seen recently that illustrate what shifting demographics can be about. When we talk about Be Well, it's really about the fact that health and wellness is becoming more mainstream. And it's really about the modern way of life, the holistic approach consumers are having on their health, and their willingness to live a healthier life. So some recent initiatives connected with that trend are the CBD opportunity that we see still shy in certain regions, but growing overall with many different applications. We can also talk about the quantified foods, the plant power growth, or initiatives to facilitate consumers' understanding on health benefits or nutritional benefits of the product, with, for instance, the Nutri-Score that we see in Europe with more and more countries and brands and retailers applying. So on this trend, the importance for packaging is beyond the packaging, beyond the design. It's also how, I would say, the materials that are being used, or for instance, who are using windows to see the products and to create trust. The last trend I wanted to talk to you about is one word. I mean, this is something, I mean, with the growing awareness that we as individuals affect the whole planet, and with especially the pandemic, this is nothing that we cannot consider. It's important to bear in mind that the pandemic is having an impact on all the mega trends, and is giving even more emphasis to all the mega trends, not only to the sustainability one. It's just the one that is more top of mind right now. One word is not only actually about sustainability, but it's about communities, tribal identities, and the desire from consumers to become more asset-light. And this is where we can see initiatives like sharing economies. So if we have to think on one word and the impact for packaging, definitely we can think here on waste management via packaging materials, and more than plastic reduction, I would say the use of different types of materials, the rebirth of noble and natural materials, for instance, as well as the size. And another important aspect is the reusability of the product as a whole. To make it a little bit more concrete, I wanted to share with you some of the innovations we've seen in our latest innovation reports that are really focusing on sustainability and packaging. So I selected three. One is a compostable ice cream pack. The second one is an easy to open butter box. And the last one is the challenge of using paper straws for on-the-go drinks. And this is quite a challenge because paper straw is wrapped in plastic, glued on the packaging. So how are we going to solve this for consumers that want to no longer to see plastic straws? So these are really direct consequences of the consumer needs. A need for a more sustainable solution, as you can see, but also a need for convenience. The easy to open or easy to close is really interesting on the butter box because the butter is still a butter, but the innovation is on the fact that the product takes into consideration the need for shoppers to have a product that is really easy to open and easy to close. You don't need to have this aluminum foil that you always have your fingers dirty. So this is how brands can innovate using the packaging to bring disruptive and more relevant solutions to shoppers. All these trends are really consumer trends, and we have to reflect them into product trends. And so what we've seen as the latest, I mean, the execution of these mega trends, when we talk about innovation, it's all about the fundamental shift that we are seeing across generations that we call the plant-centric lifestyle, which is definitely the new organic. The second key opportunity is about the fit for functionality, which is all about how consumers are redefining their wants and needs around functionality and simplification at the same time. And finally, it's really the opportunity to deliver immersive brand and product experiences, focusing on the sensory levels. From a product innovation standpoint, we are seeing a host of new items that are emerging across categories via brands, but also via many private brands addressing these new opportunities. And there is a reason for that. I mean, a few years ago, private brands were really Me Too and price alternative to brands. And we see that today shoppers are really giving retailers the permission to be bolder with their private brands, with over 8 in 10 shoppers saying that they trust private brands just as much as national brands. The statistics might vary by country, but the point is that regardless of where you are, consumers are ready for retailers to get more aggressive in pioneering with and innovating with their private brand. And this is I mean, for us at Damon and for all the industry, this is great challenge. I've put here some examples of private brands that have been tackling these three streams with the Casino Sustainable Non-Food range, or for instance, the Amazon meal kits that are all about the functionality and the simplicity to get the simplicity of the product. just to close, yeah, I mean, we see that brands are really into innovation, and we see that private brands are also playing that role with, for instance, Slow Blows launching the cricket flour, or Waitrose with their chocolate avocado that was launched in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. So no, it was dense. It was a lot of things. There is always a lot of things to say about consumers. Thank you for your attention. And if you have any questions, I mean, I'm here. Don't hesitate.
Great, and thank you very much. I mean, it's amazing how much is going on within the packaging industry and the consumer markets. We have already some questions for you, but before we go through the questions, I would like to invite our next panelist also to give his background. It's important we build this background, and then we can discuss all the questions that are putting on. So I'd like to invite David Kuzuma, that he's going to bring us an overview about what happened after COVID-19, what is the impact for the market, what is the market scenario, and how we can link all of these to the sustainable goals. So David, welcome again, and please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Luciana. Yes, my name is David Kusuma. I lead global R&D for products at Tupperware Brands. We're headquartered in Florida, but we are everywhere around the world. I think we have presence in over 100 countries around the world. But I'm also here to represent the World Design Organization. You know, and I'm very pleased to be participating today with the World Packaging Organization in this webinar, and I hope I can provide some good insight as well. So first, I hope everyone is well and staying safe during the pandemic. I think that no matter where you are or where you come from, everyone has been impacted really by what all is going on in the world right now. And I think for most people, it's been a difficult time. In the WDO, we like to focus on designing for sustainability. You know, so we're actually guided by the UN SDGs. Some of you may be familiar with this term. It stands for the Sustainable Development Goals. And UN SDG number 12, for example, focuses on responsible consumption and production. And this encourages the efficient use of resources, looking at sustainable alternatives and applying responsible behaviors, both from a manufacturing as well as from a consumer point of view. I'm going to shortly come back on the issue of sustainability, but right now I want to first begin talking about the coronavirus. During the pandemic, what we have seen is that consumers tend to value safety over ecology. You know, and I think we can see this in our everyday lives. Supermarkets and stores, they have brought back things like single-use plastic bags. Previously, these were discouraged. Coffee shops have stopped allowing consumers to bring in their own cups for refills. And most people have accepted this because everyone is worried that a simple lack of hygiene could help to spread the coronavirus. So the pandemic has had a huge impact in every country's economy and has brought forth, I think, a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety to the consumers. You know, and because of this, companies and brands have been finding more innovative ways to make a difference, you know, by showing thoughtfulness, by showing acts of giving, for example, that resonate with consumers and acts that consumers will remember over time. In the US, large retailers like Walmart, for example, also many supermarkets, have dedicated their large parking spaces for coronavirus testing. Many retailers have tried to keep employees on their payrolls, even when their stores are closed. So brands are looking to prioritize people's physical, financial, and emotional concerns, probably on a scale never seen before. So this includes caring for the elderly, also at-risk groups who are in isolation, and those who have a difficult time to shop for food and you know, things that they essentially need for their daily lives. Many retailers and grocery chains, they've also introduced special hours to allow vulnerable customers to shop when the stores are less crowded. And they also have worked to provide things like sidewalk pickup, local delivery services as well. And we've seen a lot of rationing, things like toilet paper that was spoken about by Anne, for example. Rationing has been implemented in many places with customers only allowed to purchase a maximum amount of a certain essential item to discourage panic buying and to promote, hopefully, more mindful consumption. In physical spaces, COVID-19 is also forcing a shift towards more low interaction in their spaces, both within stores and also within public spaces. So that companies, the brands and their consumers are starting to have less and less to almost no interaction in these spaces. Many have moved into only take and go services where you would just grab it, pay for it and leave, and have extended and encouraged, for example, digital ordering through smartphone apps, which help to minimize human contact and reduces time in the stores also. Even in March of this year, Amazon announced that it will start selling its Amazon Go technology, which is basically cashierless, to other retailers. So we can expect to see a continued increase in the use of frictionless payments and stores without cashiers. Many stores have been closed across the world, and therefore many retailers are also offering, large discounts. I'm sure you've all seen that, and special deals to alleviate, things like financial, emotional, and technological costs that are experienced by their businesses due to all the closures. And for people who are out of work and in economic distress, unfortunately, much of the global population, banks, insurance companies, retailers, and creditors, for example, have been willing to delay receiving payments or extending more favorable terms for people who ask. So as the pandemic continues to spread, reducing the fear of the current climate towards something more positive can actually have a result that creates more loyal customers in the long run for businesses, and even after the pandemic ends. So industries are having to adapt to a new reality that demands a lot of flexibility, a lot of creativity, and especially empathy, because the world is shifting really at an extremely rapid pace. I would say that today there's a strong role for designers. As creators of products, we have to remember that a lot has changed over the past several months due to the pandemic, but the basic values of people, values which include their needs and wants, have not really changed. So long as we stay true to the values that are the most important to people, then we will continue to provide solutions which help them to achieve all of their longer-term objectives. So for example, we know that people want to stay healthy so that they can live longer and they can live hopefully with a higher quality of life. They want more time on their hands so they can spend it doing what they love. They want better value so they can spend money on what makes them happy. And they want to enjoy opportunities to be with family, friends, loved ones, and so on. I think none of that has changed. I believe what COVID-19 has helped us to discover is what's the most important to each of us in our lives. As I mentioned, coronavirus pandemic is quickly becoming the biggest global driver of change seen in recent history. And it's already shaping new consumer attitudes. The positive thing, I think, is that during times of big crisis like we're currently experiencing, it also leads to new opportunity and also hopefully great innovation. We know that the world will eventually come out of lockdown, but I think we will all be assured that the world that emerges will be a totally different world than before the pandemic. So right now we have a great opportunity to start thinking about new and different products and experiences We know we will be designing for a new kind of consumer, and this is independent of the type of industry. And it has become more important than ever to really understand what the consumer will need and what the consumer will want to purchase. If we consider packaging as a marketing tool, consumer expectations, I think, for packaging have been shifting. You know, once packaging was primarily thought of as providing protection for the product inside, but really packaging has evolved and has become a means for storytelling. External packaging design has become a key driver towards a consumer's decision to make a purchase. This was mentioned both with An and Soha before me. Everyone has become so overloaded with advertising and marketing messages. So companies have needed to develop designs that protect the product, but they've also had to refine their message by including knowledge and education, and also with the addition of visual excitement and entertainment to make their products stand out from all the rest and all the noise that is around them. I've read recently that the size of the global packaging market is almost $1 trillion today. It's huge. Coming back to the topic of sustainability, so this amounts to a huge amount of paper, plastic, other packing materials, which contributes to, you know, a lot of the world's garbage and pollutions. So it's no surprise that packaging design, which focuses on waste reduction and green solutions, are being embraced and invested in by brands around the world more today than ever before. Many companies have become more conscious about the impact their products and packaging have had and currently have on the environment and the health of our planet. And they've taken steps to reduce their impact, also by incorporating sustainable technologies. So one example, you know, with an estimated 10 million tons, for example, of additional plastic that comes into our oceans every year, a local company right here in Florida named Saltwater Brewery, they develop packaging rings to link cans together. You know, normally it's a set of like 6 cans, and it's normally found in the beverage industry. So this company uses byproducts of beer as materials for this packaging ring. These materials are edible, they're biodegradable, they're compostable, and they can be safely consumed without harming animals or harming the planet. Nike recently also unveiled a new package for their Air Max shoes. The package is made from recycled drink containers, and the design of the packaging serves, you know, a dual purpose. One is to package the shoes, but it also functions as a backpack. And you know, so that's interesting. There's another post-use for the package after the consumer unwraps their product. IKEA also, for their part, announced it was exploring using biodegradable mushroom-based alternatives, you know, like mycelium, for example, which takes only a few weeks to decompose, you know, versus the polystyrene that they currently use, which takes thousands of years to decompose. UN SDG number 9 focuses on industry, innovation, and infrastructure. So the focus here is to look at strengthening the connection between design, technology, and R&D. If we look at smart packaging technologies, a number of companies have totally reworked the design of their packaging, looking at improved functionality or even to identify a little bit better with the product that's inside. Some have turned to popular culture, for example, with inspiration from social media and new technologies so that they appeal to younger consumers. A recent study estimates that millennials will take many more than 25,000 selfies in their lifetime. So brands like Coca-Cola have noticed this, and fairly recently they launched a marketing initiative in Asia Pacific back in 2017, I think, with selfie-inspired cans that would increase consumer interest.
Great, David. Yes.
In Italy, Coca-Cola also designed new bottle caps that played recorded messages when the bottle was twisted over. So there are a lot more examples of technology-based packaging, and more technology will creep into packaging, including 3D printing, testing and evaluation. But I think today, safety takes center stage with the pandemic. People are concerned about their health, and so materials and technologies which can provide antibacterial and antiviral surfaces have become highly interesting. Sorry, Luciana?
Yes, no, great, David. I mean, great topics, and we have some questions on top of them. So what I would like to suggest before I target you the questions is that we listen also to Satish, and then we come back to you with some questions. And I would just want to highlight something you said that is very key to our market, is that we deal with the new consumer. From after everything that we went through, there is a new consumer. And we want to understand very clearly what he needs and what are his demands. But what now, when we're talking about packaging from a marketing perspective, we are targeting consumers, of course, but from a brand perspective. So it's really great that today we have with us the Satish Pereira from PepsiCo that will join us and share his view from PepsiCo's approach to consumers. And Satish is going to talk a little bit about how packaging is going digital and how PepsiCo, of course, is exploring packages to build a strong bond with their consumers. So I would like to give the floor to Satish, and then we can start with many questions that are coming from our audience.
Yeah, I think a lot of topics are already covered by the panelists who have preceded me. And I will keep it short and focus on the key important points. PepsiCo aims to be more consumer-centric and marketing with an aim to meet the consumer's requirements, keeping in time with the trends of today, one of which is home consumption of foods, less eating out, and maintaining health also at the same time. So these, I think, are some key consumer trends. The consumer wants to see that the food he gets, the package he gets, is safe for him. So one of the ways which we think safety can be improved is improved automation, less human contact of the foods when it is packaged and after it is packaged in supply chain. So automation will play a very important role. In terms of food preferences, people will look for which products which can protect them from illness, getting sick, keeping the health. So they will expect more immunity boosting products. So identification of these will be important trends going in the future. So digitization in the past also has helped packaging in many big ways. In my many years in the packaging field, I've seen the change from a completely manual process of pre-press and design development of package to a more digital process, to an almost completely digital process of pre-press package design and development. Now, as we all know, package is a very important element of the marketing field. In fact, most companies assign the design development of package to the marketing department. So the marketing department takes the lead on the design of the package, because this is the identifier or the brand image of the product in the market. So it does play a very important role. A lot of digital mechanisms have contributed to the package. Like we know the barcode from several years, they have changed into 2D barcodes, and now they are going into more smarter RFID, where the package shelf life can be indicated through an automated supply management identification system of RFID. So yes, digital processes have played a good role in the past and will continue to play a very important role in the future. So these are the key areas where digitization will improve. Besides that, what is also important for many companies is sustainability. As David has mentioned, sustainability is going to be the number one in the minds of consumers, especially the millennials. They are assessing brands and choosing brands based on their focus on sustainability. Now, this again is an important marketing segment. If brands are able to prove their sustainability for the future, their focus for the future generations, I think that will be an important message to give to the consumers, that companies are working towards new materials which will be more recyclable, more degradable, and such for the future from the packaging point of view. So yes, there are a large number of trends ongoing. There are consumers' viewpoints and their expectations are changing much faster than in the past. With the social media in place, people from all over the world know what's happening and what are the trends in other places in the world. And these trends need to be delivered to consumers who desire it, who want it. So digitization and big data will help in a big way to identify the fast changing consumer needs and being close to the customers. And this is an important point which PepsiCo intends to focus on, being closer to the customer physically as in the past, but also digitally as the future expects of us. So yes,
Great, Satish.
this is my short input on what packaging needs to do in the future.
Yeah, there are so many opportunities for the packaging industry and for brand owners to bring technology and digitalization into packaging and really have packages being this connection with the brand and consumers and going beyond the packaging itself, right? So thank you very much. And now we have lots of questions. So I would like to bring them to you and ask you to really to answer short and go direct to the point so we can go through all of them. So the first one is from a fellow of mine from Brazil, from Flavio Ferreira. And he's asking how packages can help consumers and to educate consumers on how to dispose packages and not to landfill. So I open this question to all of you of how we can use packages to educate consumers. So if you want to mention, and Satish, who wants to comment on top of that, and David, please. Your mic, Soha, please, your mic.
Actually, we have been seeing many brand owners already using this, especially to kids and other segment of the society through illustration or putting some schemes how to dispose their packaging and other packaging regarding the reuse. We can see many companies really designing packaging to be reused by the consumer for other purposes. So this is already being done by many companies.
Mm-hmm. David, you want to mention, or Satish, you have to comment?
So in PepsiCo, we have a program along with a company which promotes recycling labels. It's called How to Recycle. So a complete identity for each regional location on how to recycle is being planned and expanded in a significant way. So this, we believe, is very important, going identification and marking on the package to guide the consumer as to how he can recycle the package in the most effective way in the region which he or she is located.
Yes.
So, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, David, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I think that there are packages that are just so beautiful that people always keep them, right? I mean, I don't know why they do it, and I don't know why I do it either. But if you buy, for example, a new iPhone, for whatever reason, the experience of opening up this package is just so advanced, and then when you are done with it, you protect the box because the box is so beautiful. You put it on into your closet. Yeah, you never touch it again, but at the same time, you don't want to throw it away. I think that there's an opportunity to give additional information on the package that makes it useful. So for example, not just what to do with the package, but what to do with the product that comes in the package as well. Just as an example, we work at Tupperware on a lot of life cycle assessments because we want every product that we design, to understand the impact of this product on the planet, right? In terms of the environmental impact. So it's important that we map out not just how we manufacture it, but we also map out how the consumer ends up using it as well. And again, if we can put the instructions on the package, then it becomes more valuable. If we tell our consumer, for example, to wash their Tupperware in cold water instead of hot water, immediately they can cut their carbon footprint down in half by 50%. It doesn't take much, so that's an opportunity. I do want to say though that at Tupperware we don't utilize packaging as a marketing tool. I mean, we're connected through a lot of our insights team, but it's primarily because we're a direct to consumer company. We're focused on social selling, of course, and I like to talk about U and SDGs, so we combine SDG 9 and 12, what I talked about earlier, to make our products last as long as possible. Everything is sold with a lifetime warranty, and the technology that we actually used is designed to keep the food fresher for a longer period of time, right? And we do this through collaborations with universities and the scientific community, for example, and we promote healthier lifestyles. So with regards to external packaging, actually, our objective as much as possible is to reduce or eliminate as much external packaging as possible so that we avoid waste and we avoid the cost to the consumer, because all of the cost is passed down to the consumer. Anyway, just wanted to mention that.
Yeah. Yes, interesting. Thank you, David. Yes. And also, you want to comment?
Yeah, so I mean, well, first, recycling is the effort of all. It involves the consumer, it involves the industry, and it involves the local authorities, which is always really complex because we have different realities country per country. And when we are a global player, I guess it complexifies the messaging on the packaging. But when we talk about recycling, we are talking about a new habit for shoppers. And we know that although they are all willing to change, it's not an easy thing to do with time. So one way that I'm seeing and that I find quite interesting is to incentivize shoppers in recycling. So we have initiatives like, for instance, the reverse vending machines for bottled water or for milk, or initiatives as, for instance, I think it's Carrefour in Spain that developed an app. And when you scan the EAN code of a product, it tells you where exactly you should recycle the product. And because you're having a sustainable behavior, you're being rewarded. And I think that's an interesting way of changing consumer habits in their recycling process.
Okay, great. And just to make a comment on top of David's speech, is that this issue on saving food and avoiding food waste, it's definitely a key issue for the global community. And it's a topic that WPO focus a lot on bringing more solutions. So it is also a very key point for us. And now I have a question from Chandra Chekar to Anne. And Chandra is talking about that. You mentioned that now consumers demand that products are more affordable to them. On the other hand, there are many requirements for brands to meet consumer needs and to explore packages. So how is this new demand going to impact the cost of the product, and how you can combine being affordable and exploring different aspects as a marketing tool?
I guess this is the challenge of innovation, that has to be always more and more affordable, and the pandemic and the financial insecurity is not going to help us, but this is also a key opportunity. So, I mean, besides going for massifying as much as possible and working collaboratively across the industry to reduce costs, but I don't think that consumers will be willing to pay more for a more sustainable packaging, for instance. That's nothing that when we ask them, that they're not willing. So this is where we have to be really innovative and work all together to keep affordability as a key point, but also be more sustainable.
Yes, great. Okay. And I'll ask another question from Henki, that is also a member of WPO, and it's target to end, but I really encourage everyone to comment it, please. So Henki is asking about that, is saying that one more principle for new product development is to have smart or intelligence packaging, especially now in regards to e-commerce, as promotion media with augmented reality, or supply chain traceability for counterfeit and circular economy. So how do you all think that you can explore these smart packaging solutions in the market from now on?
Well, if I think on the consumer trends, I would. There are different ways to look at connected packagings. I personally would take it on an experience perspective to tell the story, to use augmented reality to connect. You had this bottle of wines in Australia, I guess, in which when you were using your application, you would see the history of the I can't remember. It was amazing. They were telling you the story of bandits, I think, or something like that. It was the 11 bandits. And so connected packaging can be to give more information, to give more storytelling, to create an experience, because the packaging is also needs to be every time more clear from a consumer perspective. They don't like to see too much information. And so QR codes or virtual augmented realities are ways to connect with them, create a connection between the brand and the consumer. Yeah, that's about it.
Does someone
Yeah,
Yeah.
It is also about engaging with the customer more to meet his expectations as well as understand his expectations. So engaging with the customer through the digital process like AR and many others will help to understand customer needs better. Mm-hmm. So package will be an important function in that.
Yeah. combined with this question, there is one from Muhammad Khan asking if you believe that the e-commerce and the digital technology and approach that that grown so much during the pandemic will stay there after the pandemic, if it's still people and consumers will use the e-commerce platforms and all the digital facilities. What's your opinion?
I guess yes. I think it will. I think it will continue anyway. E-commerce and digital marketing and everything has already started before the pandemic, and I'm sure it will be reinforced more after and after, because it goes with the on-the-go society. People are very busy, and it's better and more convenient for them to buy online. So I guess the e-commerce will be more enforced even after the. We hope that the pandemic will end soon. So I guess this is from my perspective.
I think, yeah, and I agree totally with Soha. I think that, you know, a lot of these digital tools that are now created to reach populations, you know, even more than they were reached before the pandemic, have taught companies, you know, that these tools actually invite them into people's homes, you know. So even tools like Zoom, for example, you know, these virtual methods of communication, of learning online, you know, I mean, it goes hand in hand with the whole aspect of digital retail as well. You know, I don't think that these will ever go away. I think they will just reinforce our society in terms of how we reach people and how people communicate with each other.
And it will give a different meaning to store. I mean, we won't go to store just for shopping products, but it will be much more about the experience and all that you can get around the product, which is going to impact retail, definitely.
Okay. And also related to packaging as a market too, we explored a lot the occasion of consumption and the targeting consumers in the best way. So what has been a trend, or not a trend anymore, it's there in the market, are the solutions for on-the-go packaging. So PepsiCo has some products that have this feature, and other brands are exploring the on-the-go consumption. So how can you align that with sustainability? So it's very interesting how we have this question from our industry to be sustainable, but all at the same time, cope with consumer demands and different demands they have to when and how they are going to consume a product. So how to align on the go with sustainability?
Well, the design of packaging, as we said, David had mentioned about loop. So yes, loop is a very important tool, and similar ideas are being adopted in many different ways. PepsiCo has taken over, has a new investment with SodaStream, and SodaStream is a beverage product which delivers the same experience for people on the move. So you carry your bottle, you prepare your drink fresh, and you take it where you want without causing much environmental issues through extra packaging. So it's not a single use, it's a multi-use model which allows you to be more sustainable and at the same time on the go. So yes, there are quite a few solutions similar to that, and I think the future is very positive, and there are many ways which improvements can be done with packages to save food. We want to go take the food from the farm to the fork without wasting it. So packaging will continue, but at the same time, there will be alternatives for people who want it to meet their requirements. Yes.
Yes. what I see here, and I believe that David can comment from the design perspective, is that there is a claim for the industry to bring more clear messages through their packages. So the point is, the packaging is the one that is selling that product, is enhancing the brand value, but at the same time, there is a worry about how, at the same time, this packaging will educate consumer in a more clear way. And that's definitely a design aspect of how we can drive this information from the packaging point of view. David, can you comment a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. I think that, again, first I'm going to give you a little bit of perspective from the Tupperware side, and that is that we're trying to get consumers to exchange their single-use package with more durable products. Because again, there's an environmental consideration, but I think that really when we think about environmental messaging, there's an opportunity to do a lot more with post-consumer products in terms of trying to build a second or a third life, or really a continuous life. Satish was mentioning loop. It was actually An who had brought that up. But loop is a really interesting concept. They link it more towards the milkman of old, right? Where they used to deliver milk in a glass bottle in one day, and then the next day when they come and bring your new milk, they take the old bottles back, they clean it, and then they reuse it again. So that's an opportunity, and I think we have to have that train of thinking when we think about new products as well. If we just take into consideration, for example, some of our biggest issues with regards to single-use products and packaging. So for example, water bottles, that are made out of PET. Also, food that's being taken from a restaurant for on the go, as you were mentioning. A lot of this material is PLA, a polylactic acid. And coming back to 3D printing, actually, some of the most common materials are PLA and PET. Why not take this, these discards, work through a recycler, and then convert them into filament that people can use in their homes? Maybe we can make them less expensive, and we can also use them to clean up the environment a little bit. So we have to have that train of thinking, and an innovative way to create new lives for products and packages that have been discarded.
Mm-hmm. Great. I have another question here from Lilian Benzi, and the question is, I think it started to end, but everyone is open to answer it. With the growth of e-commerce, and it grew so fast during the pandemic, especially in other countries than the United States that had already a mature e-commerce, but in different countries, many brands had to adapt very quickly. Do you see that from now on that brands will have more time to work on it? What can we wait in terms of shapes and graphics or structures and colors for packaging for the e-commerce? Are there going to be changes? Is it necessary to adapt packages for the e-commerce?
Well, I guess my design colleague would be the right person to answer to that question. Unfortunately, he's not with me. But definitely we see a need to adapt packaging to e-commerce, because till now the experience has been, I would say, terrible to get all the information you want to have when you're shopping. So colors should be adapted to online shopping, but also all the information and how you get access to all the nutritional information, all the packaging information, because you're missing many things when you're shopping online. You don't know how to use exactly the product, you don't know how to open it, you don't know how to receive it, and these are things that will need to become more obvious online. And this is not only the effort of the industry, it's also the effort of the retailers and the online retailers to facilitate this new way of selling products.
Mm-hmm. David,
online there is a important trend called unboxing experience. So with e-commerce, the unboxing experience becomes very valuable for the consumer. So he wants, because he's not traveled to the shopping center, not selected his item, he has selected it online, so that unboxing experience of what's in the package would become an important trend. It's already a trend as we know it. So yes, packaging will have to be more interestingly designed to ensure that the unboxing experience is wonderful for the consumer.
Mm-hmm. So how do you want to comment as well?
Yes, I want to say, and I mentioned it in my presentation, that all the product need to be well designed, not only from a color perspective, from a typography perspective, and from the clarity of how to have a contrast between the background and the text, so that the consumer will be able to read well the information on the package from his screen or from his mobile. So color has to be taken into consideration, typography, even how to model it. And here we're talking about retailers or the people who sell it online, to be able to have like a 3D to see the package, how it's used and all of this. So for sure it has to be redesigned to fit the screen and to fit the mobile and to be user friendly for the online shopping.
Yeah, exactly. So it's almost 25 minutes past the hour, and we are coming to an end. So as a final comment from each participant, I would like you to just bring in one sentence, what is your advice on how packaging can become an even more efficient marketing tool before all the challenges we have discussed this morning, such as the pandemic, new consumer behaviors, this strong sustainability demand? So what is your final advice of how we can explore it?
Yeah, so I think I can go start with it. I think packaging people will have to work harder than in the past to deliver a better experience and solution to the customer, including in terms of sustainability of the environment for the future. So the role of packaging teams will become more complex and more educated. So packaging education will become a very important part of learning all these aspects of packaging, so as to be ready for the future challenges which packaging brings to the environment. So I think future leaders and packaging people will have to work harder and better, stronger, faster, better.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Satish. Very good. David, do you want to comment as well?
Yes, sure. So I think that technology will play a big role also in packaging as we move into the future. And a lot of products and packages will become a little bit more synonymous in terms of how consumers will interact and interface with them. One example is that, it was brought up that, there are now sensors, for example, on packages that tell you, especially for packages for food, for fresh food, that can tell you, when your food goes bad. So there's a big movement to move this technology actually into the product itself, so that if we're building containers, for example, that are more durable, they would also have that capability. So that's just one. I think that also in times of COVID, there will be a strong effort, to make packages safe. When you think about things like surfaces that are either antibacterial or antiviral, consumers will look for these things because it'll make them feel, safer, in terms of, keeping the transmission going. I do want to make one last comment with regards to the e-commerce question that you had asked just prior. And that is that, I have a little bit of a different viewpoint, and that is that, e-commerce, in my opinion, lends itself extremely well to almost package-less products. And the reason why I'm saying that is because, e-commerce, you are looking at the product online, which means that when it arrives to your home, typically it's already purchased. So you don't need the package to tell you that this is what you need to buy. You've already made that selection, and so I think that some of the things that Satish mentioned, in terms of the experience of opening the box, I think that's still very important, but maybe not quite as important as the point of purchase. Thank you.
Thank you, David. So, Han, do you want to comment?
Well,
oh, so
as you said in your previous question, that some of the trends are contradictory to each other regarding sustainability and on the go, and also regarding the other trends. So yes, packaging is a challenging topic. And here brand owners need to compromise as much as they can the trends to reflect consumer needs. And they have to be innovative as much as possible. We cannot stand still. And now consumers are looking a lot for packaging, a designer to be for the smart packaging. And for example, what David just mentioned, the RFID reference to see if the meat is still fine or the fruit is crisp or rotten. So really packaging designer and manufacturers are under a lot of tension to be innovative and to come up with innovation to meet consumer demand. And we cannot look at it from one perspective. We have to try to combine sustainability with the on-the-go and the safe aspect and the food safety aspect and other issue. Good luck. I know it's a hot topic, but that's why we are here. Thank
really,
you.
so hot. Thank you. And please, your final comment.
Well, actually, I guess it's connected with what Soa was just saying. I would say that it's really important to know your customers and know how they are using the product to make the right decision, because we have so many angles, so many topics to address. We need to pick the right one, and this starts by understanding how your consumer is using your product. So I would say that's, for me, one of the critical points.
Yeah. This is great.
Yeah.
I mean,
if I may add one point.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's why I always say to my client who comes to Libon Park and who consult us that we need to focus on the market segment. We cannot respond to all the needs of the consumer. And this is one of the mistakes done by some packaging company. That's why, as Anne said, we need to segment them and study each needs to be able to respond to them. We cannot, it's not magic. We cannot have everything fulfilled in one package. And we are seeing this in many brand owners that they are becoming less and more segmented.
Yeah. Great discussion, and I would like to thank you all very much for this panel and for everyone that joined us. I mean, I think that is why it's so amazing to work with packaging. It's so amazing to work with the packaging industry because it is challenging and there is always opportunity to do more. There is always opportunity to improve. And there will be always different demands from society, from the market, from the retail and so on. So working with packaging is about combining all these different perspectives. It is challenging, but we are able to do it. And we are able also to improve each time more. So I would like to invite you to join WPO and to follow us in our social media so that we can continue this discussion, so we can get together and explore all the demands from the packaging perspective. At the same time, I would like to invite everyone to join us in 2 weeks from now for our next webinar that we are going to talk about packaging trends. And finally, I would like to wish you a great day and thank you again for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.